Good morning, everyone. Yeah, speakers have two things to afraid. Yeah, if no one is coming to your session, and the second thing is when there is too much people on the session and no seat left. Okay. Good morning, everyone. How do you feel? Show me your energy level. Okay. Cool, amazing. And I have second question, folks, if you are developers, please clap me. Okay, cool. And if you're on operational side, if you're DevOps, platform engineers, SREs, please also clap me. Cool. And if you're marketing guys, sales people, whoever, please clap me. Cool. Okay. It's enough claps for me for today. I can leave and have okay. So today we'll talk about load testing in Kubernetes using K6. Yeah. In general, how this topic started around 6 months ago. One of our developers come to our DevOps team and asked the question. Asked the question. Okay. Oh. At Perfect Scale, we are building some operators and so on, and one of the components, it's a component which is listening for Kubernetes webhooks, admission controller, and we were removing the labels filter from mutating webhook configuration, and we expected that each change in Kubernetes will send the webhook to our service. So they came to us and asked us, our admission controller will need to process much more data. Yeah, will we survive? And we didn't know. Of course, we made some testing using we deployed it, yeah. We live tested it, but actually we have much bigger clients, clients with bigger clusters than ours, and we were not sure that comparing it to our cluster will show any sense. Okay, and with such thing, okay. And it's not the only question which we had from our developers about the performance and load at all. Yeah. For example, here you can see the list of questions which you can get on the operational side every day, possibly, and comparing to lot of questions, we have a second thing. Yeah, we have services which have a lot of load. And we don't know how much of load our service can get all the time. Yeah, and if you remember, 10 years ago, for example, load testing was some buzzword, yeah, which everyone was using, and before any software is going to production, we have something like load testing. But nowadays we are living in era of Kubernetes and cloud stuff. And please raise your hand if you are running load testing right now. Okay, maybe less than how much? Raise higher, please. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, just 8 companies out of this whole area here are running load testing. And there is reason for that, yeah, because load testing right now become harder, yeah, because we have cloud native architectures all around, yeah. We have distributed systems, we have multiple protocols, and many other things which are very changeable and so on. and we can like do something with that, yeah. Okay, in terms of like Kubernetes or any cloud things, you should remember the only thing which is matter that resources are finite. Yeah, and in terms of like load testing previously, yeah, you had the whole like virtual machine or bare metal service where you can go crazy. Yeah, now with like Kubernetes, you can like define the amount of like resources and so on which you want to allocate on the load testing period. And this also like fine enough, yeah, because you always have a chance to give more resources to your application when it's needed. And for example, you can load test your application in a very like limited and small environment and so on. And after that, assume that when you will spread it across like multiple clusters and when you will give more resources to this application, it will work better, yeah? Okay, but what like makes sense here is that, for example, when you load testing your application at the moment now, yeah, you allocated to it, for example, as we see here, we requested 64 megabytes of RAM, 250 millicores of CPU, and set some limits, and our application is working. We synthetically have some bunch of load here and so on. But tomorrow, our applications come to production and something changed. Yeah, for example, on load testing period, you set the, like, you used some just open model when you were sending just same JSON to it, and the payload itself and the load to the application was very specific. Yeah, you just used the specific function, you hit the cache of the like database, whatever, and everything is good. But next day, when your application in production, and you got the different load profile. Yeah, you have multiple users, you have multiple, I don't know, request types. Yeah, and your like cache hit ratio become lower and so on, and your application needs more resources. Okay, and what happens at this moment? Yeah, for example, in Kubernetes. Yeah, if you under provisions, yeah, in terms of requests, you can have reliability and resiliency issues. So your application, even if it's load tested enough, it will still have like performance issues. But on the other hand, you can like load test your application, and for example, you see that under the load, it requires, I don't know, 25 gigs of RAM. And you set with like 25 gigs of RAM as a request, but when customers comes, you see that the like real load from customers is much more lower. And you have over-provisioned memory request, and you are just wasting your money. Yeah. Okay. On the other hand, you decided like, okay, I need 25 gigs of RAM as limit, but I will put like 12 gigs of RAM as a request. And what we got in the end, the node, where is it going? Yeah, you got the load and so on. And you catching the out of memory on the node level. Yeah, so for example, your kubelet is not able to operate anymore. Yeah. And here we go. Here we're coming to the point where I would like to introduce the K6 operator. I'm still not understanding why I'm not on K6 stage. Yeah, but overall, why we chosen like K6? Because it's like very simple. It's goal-oriented, it's open source, and it's from Grafana. We are fully on Grafana stack, so we love it. And it also gifted to SNCF, so it will be supported by community and so on. And we shouldn't be afraid that someday Grafana will change the license, and maybe next day will change license back. And also we have components which we are not using right now, but possibly we will replace house mesh with XK6 disruptors soon. So it's like very cool tool and a lot of things around it. And in the Kubernetes, we can also use not only K6 itself, but we can use k6-operator, which can be very cool. Yeah, it can control all your runners, all your things as like normal Kubernetes resources. And because all our components which are under tasks inside Kubernetes, we also decided to go with like k6-operator. And the test itself, it's very simple. Yeah, in K6, you describe your test in JavaScript. Yeah, but no worries, it's like normal JavaScript. It's just if you'll try to keep it in a single file. And the second thing, which is important, is that the guys from Grafana Labs or from K6, they wrote their own like Go compiler for JavaScript. So this like code compiles to the Go code, and after that it will be run. Here is the example of just a pretty simple test. So we configure the options. Yeah, virtual users is 10. Duration is also 10 seconds. And it's just simple get requests. Every 1 second we'll go to my suite, and after that we'll sleep. Yeah, and to run this test, yeah, we are creating the config map from this JavaScript file. kubectl create config map, my test from file test.js, and after that we need to create another resource kind test run from k6.io. We are defining the parallelism to 4 in this case, and we're referencing the script, the config map which we just created. Okay, and today I will show you a small demo about how, like one of the scenarios, how we are using K6 in our environment. But before we go to it, yeah, let me just introduce you the high-level architecture of like our infra. And here you see we have like customer data which is coming to us. It's going to S3. After that, it's aggregated and also stored in S3 and spread it across like reports, alerts, and data provider things. And also because we are giving the recommendations regarding resource requests and limits for the resources in Kubernetes, we also need to gather data from cloud providers about the pricing to give the precise prices. Yeah, and we have pricing components which is working with cloud providers. It's getting the shelf prices, it's getting the core reports, and so on. But in the end, it's just like microservice which is able to respond to GET requests. And Yeah, and let me switch to the here. Okay, and to perform load testing for this scenario for PSC pricing application, we are using GitHub Actions. Who is using GitHub Actions here? Okay, cool. You have a question? Yeah, of course, yeah. Is it better now? Okay, cool. We are using simple GitHub Actions here, which is okay. We are just passing the two images which we want to compare, and after that we are like running the load test, and I will show you all the configurations, but to not spend a lot of time on it, let's run with GitHub Actions. So GitHub workflow run, load test YAML, this is like this is workflow file, and we are passing two variables, yeah, image tag 1 and image tag 2. Okay, let's just run it. Okay. Okay, it's running. And what is running under the hood, yeah? So in our PSC pricing repo, we have load test manifests. Yeah, the code itself is pretty simple. We defining here the URL, the headers, and also the payload. Yeah, and here we are opening, working in the model when we don't need to wait for the response. We just wanted to load test the application itself with multiple requests. So yeah, and in the end, we just checking that the response code is 200 to ensure that we are not like load testing the application. We just returns like 500s. Yeah, okay, we have a lot of load, but nothing positive. And GitHub Actions will deploy a version of image which we specified. We'll apply the Helm chart. We'll create service for that. Of course, we are not creating any kind of ingresses, whatever. But if you are using any like tools like Argo rollouts or Flagger, you can utilize the blue-green deployment strategy or whatever you like, and load test the workload which is not production yet. Yeah, but in this case, we are running it in the environment in the same namespace as our production applications to ensure that it will have the same amount of resources, configuration options, node pools, and so on, which is like very close to production. Yeah, and to run this code, we have configuration here. So kind k6, some metadata which we will pass from the GitHub Actions to overwrite it. And what is important here is to integrate with Prometheus. We have argument experimental Prometheus remote write. Without it, it's not working. And we are passing two tags like test ID and version ID for being able later watch it in Grafana. Never mind, I will show you. Yeah, and here just like some placeholders, for example, environment service endpoint. We are also passing it here, and remote Prometheus URL, and so on. Okay, I assume it finished. Yep, it took us just 2 minutes to run parallel load tests, and let's check the test results. Okay, what we see here, this is our previous version. Do you see it well, or should I make it bigger? Okay. Sorry, stress testing Grafana for small monitors. Here on the top, you see the previous version of our service. Yeah, the tag 1, to be precise. Here you see that we got just 3.7 requests per second. And RPS was just 400. Okay, something wrong here. Okay, and with the new version, we have normal data around 300, 400 requests per second, and RPS 47,000. Okay, I guess something wrong with my previous image. Maybe I need contact to the developers of this service. But overall, it's good because the current one, the new one, is showing better performance and so on. So we should not be afraid. And because it's simple to integrate it into any of your workflow, as you see here, we integrated it with GitHub Actions. You can build any CI tools on top of that and make it as a required check. Or, for example, you can define some agreements where, for example, if RPS is bigger than some value, it's passed. Yeah, if it's not, you can ask developers to improve the service itself. But of course, it all depends on your needs. Okay. We also load tested not only solutions, not only applications inside our cluster. At some moment, as I told you, we are utilizing S3 a lot, and we had S3 side throttling. And to understand why it's happening, we also load tested S3. So here you can find the GitHub repository with all the data related to K6 S3 analysis. Yeah, so we spent our $1,000 on S3 request, so you don't need. Yeah, now I guess would be a great time for questions. Small bonus from me. I'm working at Perfect Scale, and you can join our website and get 30 days of free trial using this QR code. What we are doing the best is recommending you setting proper request and limits in Kubernetes, but not only. And my folks, my teammates are around. Look for people in these Perfect Scale t-shirts, and feel free to ask any questions them. Yeah, and now for you, it's time to ask questions for me. Yeah.
Please, let's have a round of applause for Karim. So just a reminder that you post questions using the CDS app or by going to Slido slide.do, and then using the CDS24 event code. So we've received some questions for you, which is great news.
Okay.
The first one is, should we load test K8s deployments where limits are set equal to requests?
Of course, we should load test everything what is possible, but remember that load testing is not the solution which will help you to feel confident in your production environment, because in production environments, even when we have guaranteed quality of service, which is in this case, we can have higher priorities on our deployments, whatever, and your workload can be evicted and so on. What is helping really in production to feel safe is dynamically allocate the resources, when the amount of what is needed, provided at the moment when it's needed. Yeah, and you can use perfect scale to right-size your workloads, of course, yeah.
We have two related questions. Did you consider any other tools other than K6 for load testing? And there was another question, whether you considered JMeter.
JMeter from Apache, yeah, I assume. I was using it before, not in perfect scale, but yeah. Overall, we didn't made a great research because when we were introducing load testing and house testing, we made a small market recap, and we let me just share a small story. Yeah, we were looking for a solution 3 years ago, for logging, and we went at across the market and so on. And after that, we went to the Grafana, and because we were already on Grafana stack, we decided let's go with Loki. Okay. Next year, we were looking for a solution for traces. We went around and so on, looking for Jaeger and so on, but go to the Grafana website and choose on Tempo. Yeah. And the next year, we needed some load testing solution, and we went across the market and so on. And after that, we went to the Grafana website and choose on K6. Yeah. So because of that, the decision for us was very simple. Yeah, and we didn't test it in production any other competitors of K6.
The next question is around the language. Why do you use JavaScript for writing tests? You even wrote the interpreter to translate it to Go. And also there was another question whether it was mandatory to use JavaScript for K6.
So I think, yeah, it's mandatory to use JavaScript with K6. Regarding Go interpreter, I guess it's done for a reason. And I assume that JavaScript is chosen for simplicity, but still you have a lot of power with it. And don't be afraid, it's just small test files which easy to maintain. So JavaScript is a good example here as well-used things at the moment.
Lovely. How often would you recommend running the load tests? Every deployment?
So in terms of load testing, there is a lot of different paradigms. Yeah, you can do something like smoke tests in terms of load testing. Yeah, you have just a couple of requests per minute, for example, but it continuously working all the time. The other thing is that you can, for example, load test spikes. Yeah, you have very short period of time when you like doing the high amount of like requests. You can continuously show the high load to test like how your application survives under like the prolonged wave, many hours, and each of them have like very different use cases in terms of like how often to perform that. Yeah. For example, we personally do the spike tests not very like often. Like yeah, not very often. What we do, we continuously do smoke tests, kind of always. It's running to ensure that everything is going very well. And yeah, as you see, with simplicity of our tooling, we can easily compare like two images, yeah, two versions of our applications, and I assume our developers use it like very often. Yeah. So load testing is not only about like load test in your like production environment. Yeah. You can test in any like synthetic environment just to compare version A with version B. Yeah. So.
That's wonderful. You answered a question before I even asked it about which environments to test in. Another question is, do you use load tests with or without the pod autoscaler?
So it's also interesting because like the example which I showed you, it's very short, and here the pod autoscaler is not used, but you always can simulate like the long running tests. And of course, if you like to also test how your infrastructure will work with it, yeah, you can utilize the HPA, VPA, and for example, cluster autoscaler, yeah, to understand how the whole system is behaving.
So the last question, because we're running out of time, but please chat to our speakers during the breaks. Did you measure the K6 footprint in K8s?
Really, nope. But operator itself, like it's consuming very small amount of resources. And the runners, I also assume they will not like consume a lot of resources. And in this case, I would better like recommend to measure the footprint of the applications which are like under the tests right now. Because as I told about like S3, we didn't measure the footprint of how much amount of requests we are making. And next day, our cloud provider send us email like you have S3 usage spike and so on, and here is plus $500 to your bill, and it okay, damn. Yeah, so please always use it. Use it, keeping in mind that you can have some third-party components which under load can consume a lot of money. Yeah, for example, if you're calling some external API for which you pay, for example, and so on. So. Yeah.
All right, let's have one more round of applause for Karim, our first speaker of the day.